Hello and welcome everyone. We are to continue with the topic of reception, response and coordination in animals. The subtopic that we started on was endocrine system. And as we had said before, endocrine system is also a means of communication that is found within the bodies of animals. For this case, we're dealing with human beings. The other means of communication within the bodies of animals or human beings that we had looked into was nervous system. So we had already talked about endocrine system, and we mentioned that hormones are the chemical transmitter substances within endocrine system, and that hormones are normally secreted by ductless glands and transported by blood to target organs. We gave pituitary gland as the master endocrine gland because pituitary gland is the one that secretes hormones that are transported by blood to other ductless glands where they influence secretion of other hormones. For example, pituitary gland, which is located within the brain, secretes thyroid stimulating hormone. Once thyroid stimulating hormone is secreted by pituitary gland, it is transported by blood to thyroid gland. Thyroid gland is found within the neck region. When stimulated by thyroid stimulating hormone, thyroid gland responds by secreting thyroxine hormone. Then thyroxine hormone will be transported by blood to various parts of the body where it will bring about some physiological changes. So in this case, pituitary gland in the brain has served as master endocrine gland, secreting thyroid stimulating hormone, which influences secretion of thyroxine hormone. The diagram that you have on the whiteboard displays some of the endocrine glands. We have pineal gland within the brain, we have hypothalamus, we have pituitary gland. So pineal, hypothalamus, and pituitary glands are located within the brain. We have within the neck region, thyroid gland. We have parathyroid gland situated in the neck region but the lower side, same to thymus. Then we have adrenal cortex, which are located above the two kidneys. Here we have a diagram of the female endocrine system and male endocrine system. We have the pancreas, which is also an endocrine gland. Then we have testes for the males. We know that testes of the males will secrete a hormone known as testosterone hormone. We have the ovaries, which are also endocrine glands, which in females secrete estrogen hormone. We also have the uterus. We know uterus is also an endocrine gland because during pregnancy, it secretes progesterone hormone, which helps in maintaining pregnancy. So we have several different types of endocrine glands within the human body, but for our case, we only deal with two main types of hormones, and we also look at their main sites of secretions. So right away, we'll start off with thyroxine hormone. Thyroxine hormone is a hormone that is normally secreted by thyroid gland, and thyroid gland is found in the neck region. Thyroxine hormone is usually secreted under the influence of thyroid stimulating hormone. Thyroid stimulating hormone, TSH, is secreted by pituitary gland, transported by blood to the neck region where it stimulates thyroid gland to secrete thyroxine hormone. Then, what is the significance of thyroxine hormone? How is thyroxine hormone important? Thyroxine hormone is important due to the following two main reasons. One, it works in collaboration with somatotrophin, also known as growth hormone, to bring about proper growth and development within the human body in both young children and adolescents as well as adults. The other influence is that it increases the rate of metabolism. These two are the main functions of thyroxine hormone. One, when it works in collaboration with somatotrophin or growth hormone, it brings about proper growth of the body and development of all body parts and all body organs. That means in the absence of thyroxine hormone, an individual will experience abnormal growth and abnormal development. Thyroxine hormone increases the rate of metabolism within the body. For example, it can increase the rate of respiration, and when the rate of respiration is increased, then that simply means that a lot of energy will be produced, and that extra amount of energy produced is what will be used by the body in cell division. And of course, we know that cell divisions normally lead to growth, that is permanent quantitative increase in size of the body of a living organism. Fine. Then, there are certain conditions within the body in which there could be excessive production of thyroxine hormone, and at times there could be under-secretion of thyroxine hormone. In a condition where we have excessive secretion of thyroxine hormone or under-secretion of thyroxine hormone, there are certain effects that could be felt or be found within the body due to over-secretion and under-secretion of the two types, under the two conditions. One, hyper, another one, hypo. So let's look at the two conditions. We have hypothyroidism and hyperthyroidism. Hypothyroidism is a condition in which there is under-secretion of thyroxine hormone. That means there is deficiency of thyroxine hormone within the body. For hyperthyroidism, it is a condition in which there is excessive secretion of thyroxine hormone. So hyperthyroidism, deficiency of thyroxine hormone. Hyperthyroidism, excessive secretion of thyroxine hormone. Then let's start off with hyperthyroidism and then look at the effects. Fine. Hypothyroidism, as you had mentioned before, refers to deficiency of thyroxine hormone. That means a condition in which the thyroid gland fails to secrete or secretes a very small proportion of thyroxine hormone. In young children, hypothyroidism leads to a condition known as cretinism. Young children. In adults, hypothyroidism leads to a condition known as myxedema. So, hypothyroidism in children leads to cretinism. Hypothyroidism in adults leads to myxedema. Then, what are the symptoms of cretinism in young children? Cretinism in young children can lead to several conditions, some of which are deformed legs, stunted growth, third one, poor mental development. Of course, that leads to mental retardation. Next, sluggishness, and general body weakness. So, a child who suffers from hypothyroidism, that is deficiency of thyroxine hormone, will suffer from a condition known as cretinism. Cretinism has the following or leads to the following effects. One, a child will have deformed legs, bowed or knock knees. A child will experience or have stunted growth, dwarf. The child will be mentally retarded because the brain will not be properly developed. The child will be sluggish in terms of his or her activities. In terms of reasoning, the child will be always sluggish. Then the child will suffer from what you call general body weakness. The child will have generally weak body. So, cretinism, as we've said, only happens in young children. In adults, hypothyroidism, we say it leads to what we call myxedema. So let's look at myxedema. Myxedema is a condition brought about by deficiency of thyroxine hormone in adults. And myxedema has the following effects, or leads to the following. One, obesity. That means the victim's body, a person suffering from myxedema, will have slow rate of metabolism. And slow rate of metabolism leads to obesity. Then the person also suffers from edema of the feet. The feet swell. This happens because a lot of fluids are retained within the feet. Then, mental and physical sluggishness. A person is slow at reasoning. When it comes to performing any physical activity, the individual is also slow. So the victim will suffer from physical and mental sluggishness. Then, the individual also have puffy face. The face of a person suffering from myxedema will be swollen. The swelling is due to the position of a lot of fluids within the body of the victim. So, these are the main effects that arise from hypothyroidism in adults, which leads to a condition known as myxedema. So, you said myxedema brought about by deficiency of thyroxine hormone. Effects: obesity. An individual gains weight abnormally because the individual is physically and mentally sluggish. So the individuals end up adding weight excessively. Oedema of the feet end up swelling due to deposition of a lot of fluids within the feet. Mental and physical sluggishness because the rate of metabolism is slow. If the rate of metabolism is slow, then it means energy will not be provided to the brain or the muscles. That makes the person to be physically and mentally sluggish or slow. Then the face will be swollen. In that case, we talk of puffy face. Then what are the effects of excessive flow of thyroxine hormone within the body or within the blood? So you have hyperthyroidism. Hyperthyroidism is a condition in which the victim ends up with excessive flow of thyroxine hormone within the body. Then, hyperthyroidism leads to increased rate of metabolism within the body. If the rate of metabolism is fast within the body, then what it means is that the rate of respiration will be fast. 2, the rate at which the heart pumps blood will be fast. The rate of breathing will also be fast. And that simply means blood will be flowing very fast within the body, and the rate of inhalation and exhalation will be fast. So it will be as if an individual is panting. That condition can make the heart to become overworked. If the heart is overworked, it can reach a point where the heart fails to perform its function, which is pumping of blood, and that can result into death of the victim. So hyperthyroidism leads to increased rate of metabolism, which results into increased rate of heartbeat, increased rate of respiration, increased rate of breathing. Inhalation and exhalation is fast. And that means the heart will be overworked, the lungs will be overworked, and then the body of the individual will also have excess production of energy, which when converted into heat makes the person's body temperature to rise above the norm. When the heart is overworked, as I mentioned before, the heart can eventually fail to perform its function, stops pumping blood. When heart stops pumping blood, then refer to the condition as thyrotoxicosis. In thyrotoxicosis, the victim eventually dies. Then the next type of hormone that we look into will be adrenaline. But before I come to adrenaline, how can hyperthyroidism or hypothyroidism be corrected? Hyperthyroidism can be corrected through surgery by introducing radioactive iodine into the thyroid gland. So if radioactive iodine is introduced into the thyroid gland, then it will stop excessive production or secretion of thyroxine hormone, and that will make the thyroid gland to get back into its normal production or secretion of thyroxine hormone. Fine. Next, we look at adrenaline hormone. Adrenaline hormone is sometimes referred to as emergency hormone. It is referred to as emergency hormone because it prepares an individual for emergency action, which in this case could be fight or flight. Adrenaline hormone is usually secreted from the adrenal glands. Adrenal glands are located above the kidneys. From the diagram on the whiteboard, you can see we have the kidney, and then above each kidney, we have adrenal cortex. Inside the adrenal glands or adrenal cortex, That is where adrenaline hormone is secreted. Secretion of adrenaline hormone is also under the influence of pituitary gland. So pituitary gland will secrete a hormone that will stimulate adrenal cortex to secrete adrenaline hormone. As mentioned before, adrenaline hormone is also known as emergency hormone because it prepares an individual for emergency action. During emergency situation, an individual will either prepare for a fight or flight. For example, when walking along a bushy road, then all of a sudden a lion jumps in front of you. Then what will happen is you will get scared. Once you get scared, then what will happen is adrenaline hormone will be secreted in large quantities. Once secreted, then it will prepare your body to either fight the animal or run away from the animal, which is flight. So adrenaline prepares an individual for fight or flight. How does it prepare an individual for fight or flight? So let's look at the effects of adrenaline hormone. One, adrenaline hormone will bring about increased rate of respiration. When the rate of respiration is fast, then it means large amount of energy will be produced. That large amount of energy produced will be used in either fight or flight. It brings about vasodilation. That is, adrenaline hormone will make the blood vessels to expand. When they expand, then a lot of blood will flow within the blood vessels. When a lot of blood flows within the blood vessels, then it means respiratory substrate, glucose, fatty acids, or amino acids, will be transported faster within the blood vessels to the muscles which are supposed to contract and relax faster, preparing individual for fight or flight. Third effect, dilation of the pupil of the eye. The pupil of the eye will dilate. When the pupil of the eye dilates, a lot of light will enter into the eyes. When a lot of light enters into the eyes, then the individual will be able to see the enemy to fight or the direction to take flight to or direction to run to. Fourth one, increased rate of heartbeat. That means the rate at which the heart will be pumping blood will be fast, so that respiratory substrates, glucose, amino acids, and fatty acids are transported faster to the muscles to provide them with enough energy. There will also be increased rate of breathing. What that means, increased rate of inhalation and exhalation. Inhalation will ensure that there is enough oxygen taken to the respiratory organs or muscles that are respiring faster. If enough oxygen is taken to the muscles of the body which respire faster, then a lot of energy will be produced through the process of aerobic respiration. And that large amount of energy is what will be used in fight or flight. Increased rate of exhalation will ensure that carbon dioxide gas released from aerobic respiration is taken out of the body system at a faster rate in order to reduce acidity of the blood brought about by dissolution of carbon dioxide gas in blood plasma. So these are the main effects of adrenaline hormone. One, we said, it prepares the body for flight or fight. How does it do it? Increasing the rate of respiration, meaning chemical breakdown of food substances or respiratory substrate with eventual production of a lot of energy to be used in fight or flight. Vasodilation, the blood capillaries expand, ensuring that a lot of blood flows within the blood vessels. When large volume of blood flows within the blood vessels, then respiratory substrates which are to be broken down to provide the body the energy will be transported at a faster rate to their sites of need. And waste products will also be transported faster to excretory sites. Dilation of the pupil of the eye. The pupil of the eye will dilate, making enough light from different objects to enter into the eyeball for the individual to be able to see the enemy or direction of flight clearly. There will be increased rate of heartbeat. The rate of heartbeat will be fast so that blood moves faster in order to transport nutrients or respiratory substrates to the muscles which respire faster, or to waste products transported to excretory organs so that they're eliminated immediately to avoid pollution within the body. There'll be increased rate of breathing, increased rate of inhalation and exhalation. Inhalation to provide oxygen necessary for aerobic respiration, exhalation to remove the waste product, which in this case is mainly CO2, out of the lungs. Of course, you also know that some of the effects will be increased pitch or tone of the muscles. That means adrenaline hormone will make the tone of the muscles to be high. That is, ability of the muscles to contract and relax will be faster than usual. Then, what happens in excessive secretion of adrenaline hormone? If there is excess adrenaline hormone flowing within the blood, then it would lead to increased rate of heartbeat, increased rate of gaseous exchange, and that would lead to tension within the body. An individual becomes easily irritated, individual sweats a lot, an individual also will develop high blood pressure. So excessive flow of adrenaline hormone within the blood can lead to complications within the body organs that are overworked, and that can lead to death of the affected individual. Some of these include effects of excessive secretion of adrenaline hormone. One, racing heart. Body tension, where an individual feels uneasy all the time. Third one, excessive sweating. Then, excessive panting, where an individual breathes faster than normal. And that can lead to overworking of the heart. If the heart is overworked, it reaches a point where it can stop working. And when it stops working, the individual dies. So those are some of the effects of excessive secretion of adrenaline hormone. So, as far as the syllabus is concerned, we are only supposed to look at two different hormones as far as endocrine system is concerned. We've looked at thyroxine hormone and adrenaline hormone. We've also looked at their sites of secretion. Thyroxine hormone secreted by the thyroid gland in the neck region. Adrenaline hormone secreted by the adrenal glands above each of the two kidneys. We've looked at their effects: hyposecretion, hypersecretion, and next one we look at comparison, similarities between nervous system and endocrine system. So both of them we know are means of communication within the body. So we want to look at what they have in common, endocrine system and nervous system that we had looked into earlier on. One, they are means of communication. They are means of communication within the body. What that means is, if at all a message is to be transmitted from one part of the body to another, that message can either be taken through nervous system or endocrine system. So they're means of communication. They have chemical transmitter substances. That is, for the case of nervous system, we have acetylcholine. For the case of nervous system, we have hormones. So those are chemical transmitter substances. Three, they involve receptors and effectors. They involve effectors. For example, in the hormones, the effectors are the target organs. For nervous system, the effectors could be muscles of the body or eyelids responding to a particular stimulus. Fourth one, they are means of survival. That is, nervous system can bring about survival of an organism, same to endocrine system. So, nervous system will bring about survival of an organism. For example, when an organism is exposed to harsh stimulus, for example, very high temperature, an organism will respond in a particular way. Hormonal system, we've also seen adrenaline hormone preparing an individual for a fight or flight. So it means both systems of communication are means of survival. Then let's look at differences between the two types of communication systems. So what are some of the differences between endocrine system and nervous system? So you draw a table of nervous system and endocrine system. One, in nervous system, acetylcholine is a chemical transmitter substance. Chemical transmitter. Is acetylcholine. In endocrine system, chemicals transmitter substance is hormone or are hormones. That means acetylcholine is a chemical substance that transmits nerve impulse from one neuron to another. Hormones are the chemical transmitter substances that will transmit one particular message to another part of the body. Then two, So it happens, communication happens very fast in a split of a second. Here communication is slow. Communication is slow. What that means is, for a message to be transmitted along the nervous system, it will take a very short time for that message to reach the final destination or target. For example, when a fly passes close or flies close to our eyes, we blink our eyelids almost instantly. But when it comes to endocrine system, for a particular change to take place, for example, secretion of thyroxine hormone, it will take a lot of time because it is hypothalamus, not hypothalamus, by the thyroid gland that has to secrete thyroxine hormone under the influence of pituitary gland. That means it takes some time, and then the final effect will be observed after several minutes or seconds. So nervous system, quickest means of communication. Hormonal system or endocrine system is slow means of communication. Third one, the effect is temporary and localized. The effect is mostly permanent and covers a wide area. What this means is, if one touches, for example, a sharp object, the finger will be pricked. So that part of the finger that is pricked, that is where the pain will be felt. And that particular pain will last for a short time. It does not last forever. So he said the effect is temporary and localized. Involves a very small, specific area. When it comes to endocrine system, the effect can be permanent. For example, growth. Growth is a process in which an organism changes in terms of physique or size of the body, and it cannot be reversed back to normal way. Development of the breasts of females is permanent. It can never get back to original way. So hormonal communication is permanent. Not all of them are permanent, but we say mostly permanent, and it covers a wide area. For example, when an individual's body responds to fight or flight brought about by secretion of adrenaline hormone, you'll find that the heart will be affected by rate of heartbeat, the eyes are affected by dilation of the pupil, the muscles are affected by increasing their tone, the lungs are affected by increasing the rate of inhalation and exhalation. So a wide area is affected when it comes to endocrine system. Then for nervous system, response is either voluntary or involuntary. Response is either voluntary or involuntary. What that means is, for example, dilation of the pupil of the eye, vasodilation, expansion of the lumen of the blood vessels. That is involuntary activity, not the individual deciding. But nervous communication can also be voluntary. For example, deciding to talk, when to decide to write, those are voluntary activities. So nervous communication is either voluntary or involuntary. But when it comes to endocrine system, it is involuntary. It's not an individual deciding. So endocrine communication is involuntary. Individual does not have control over it. But when it comes to nervous communication, it's voluntary. An individual has control over it, or involuntary, a condition where an individual does not have control over the means of communication. So those four are the main differences between endocrine system and nervous system. And that brings us to the end of the subtopic of nervous system and endocrine system. So next subtopic would be effects of drug abuse on human health. Thank you.